What is going on, crypto miners, and welcome back to the channel. Well, I'm joined, as always, by your friend Andy. How are you, Andy?
Hello, doing well, doing exceedingly well in this crazy market that hopefully it's not the actual bull run, but it's looking real sweet right about now, especially if you're a miner like you.
It is looking fantastic. And I think the reason I kind of invited Andy on today was to really talk about now, the current now, with the market booming, Bitcoin's just shy of that 100,000 mark. Altcoins are really starting to take off. We've seen this over the last 2 weeks or so. The topic that comes to mind to me, and I think about this a lot when I'm looking at my portfolio daily, is when do you sell? And so let's kind of jump into that a little bit here, Andy, because I think we're really talking about two different levels of selling. We're talking about like Bitcoin, like actually selling the orange pilled Bitcoin, or selling this altcoin that you randomly decided to buy into. So let's talk about the altcoin side of things first. These odd and end coins that you kind of got into. When do you decide to sell? Thank you to today's video sponsor, ASICmarketplace.com. If you're in the market for the top ASIC miners, look no further than ASICmarketplace.com. They have some of the best miners on the market in 2025. To name just a few, Bitmain Antminer L9 and L7, the AlphaPex DG1 Plus, the Canon Avalon A15 XP, and many more. And home miners, ASICmarketplace.com has you covered as well. The AlphaPex DG Home 1, the Bombax EZ100C, the Ice River AL2 Lite, and many more. Finally, 3 big reasons I like ASICmarketplace.com. First, the price on their website is to your door. Shipping and import tax is included in the price. Second, they accept cryptocurrency as a payment method. And third, I've been working with them for over 2 years and never had a bad experience buying from ASICmarketplace.com. Go check out ASICmarketplace.com today and use my discount code to save $100 at checkout.
Yeah, so that's a big question. There's a lot of answers to that. There's a lot of considerations for that. I would say if you find yourself in a bull market where everything is popping off, everything is very exciting, and you are asking yourself, when do I sell or how do I sell? My friend, you might already be at a great disadvantage because before you get to that stage, which hello, now we're talking, watching this video, you're preparing. Congratulations, you're doing a good job. You need to have a plan. So before I get into the everything is amazing and like life is euphoric and all this stuff with altcoins, I like to have a plan built and ready to go ahead of time. So I literally go through every single one of my positions. I look at each of them and look at like what is a base case, a bull case, an extreme bull case when it comes to the price or the market capitalization of each one. And I base that off a bunch of factors, looking at other comparable cryptos, what's done in the past, what's previous all-time high was, what the last market looked like, etc. But anyway, I map those out, and then I allocate a percentage of my bag to each of these different price targets. And once I've completed this master plan of all these prices and stuff, then it's just stick to the plan. So as things are blowing up, I'm looking over here, CoinGecko, and the largest gainer today is Black Angus, up 3,400%. So if you owned Black Angus, whatever that is, and you're up 3,400% today, well then, I'm just looking at my spreadsheet to see how much of that position I am, selling at these different price targets. So that's like what I do beforehand. But as far as percentages and stuff, that is, completely up to you and personal, what percentage you sell at which dollar amount. There's no right or wrong way to do that. I know you, hobbyists, maybe this is a good segue for you to talk about this a bit, but I know you have a kind of a specific way you look at I'm going to sell half my bag, when it does this, and then what do I have left over, and then what do I do with that?
Yeah, definitely. I have a question to go back to you on, but I'll answer that part first because I definitely was intrigued there a little bit. So, yes, so for me, I'm always looking at these types of things of like, when do I sell? I actually was thinking about this on the way home today from work. I was thinking about like, okay, I'm in like 80 different positions. And I haven't followed Andy's rule, which I've heard of that rule before and I really should have done it. But I haven't followed it yet. Was like, man, I'm in so many different positions. Do I need to roll these up a little bit more, kind of consolidate more, take my W's when I can? And then, but the hard part is that when I think about selling or converting or flipping, I'm very much a guy where like I sell, but I'm not selling the US dollar. I'm selling into USDT and then buying into something else and just kind of keep snowballing. But when I decide to sell, which is usually when things pump pretty big, Helium's probably the last really big one I did. Helium Mobile, which I checked, that was actually like last December, believe it or not. It's like December 13th or something like that. And it was well higher than where we are right now, but I sold 50%. And I've kind of followed that with anything else that I've gotten into of just selling 50% and holding on to 50% for a future moon bag. And that's kind of where I am right now again, where I'm keeping a close eye because Helium Mobile is a really big mover. If you look in the last 7 days, it's been moving a lot. Now, is it close to where it was? No, it's not for like the all-time high, not yet. But it's getting there and it's crawling a little bit. So I've kind of kept that rule of thumb because I think for me is where I think a lot of the viewers are, where it's like, I hate to sell. And then you're like, oh, but a month later, it goes parabolic. And then you're like, well, crap, I sold everything. So even when I decide to sell again, that Helium Mobile I talked about, it'll just be 50%. So it's always going to be 50% from there is kind of where my head's at. And that's worked well for me so far. But coming back to my question for you, Andy, what are you using to monitor or to keep up with a lot of that? Because you talked a lot about like, okay, I want to earmark this for like, here's this level, this level, this level. Because I know for a fact you are in a lot of different crypto positions. And unless I'm wrong, I don't think you're checking a spreadsheet every day. Is there some type of system that's alerting you or that you're keeping up with?
So I do have all that, like the sell levels and price and stuff
Yep.
mapped out on a spreadsheet, but that's not what I'm
Okay.
checking every day.
Okay.
Like, pick whichever like portfolio manager you want of choice. CoinGecko is a great one that's totally free. I use Delta Investment Tracker on my phone. That's my primary one. But a lot of these you can set alerts at different price targets, and it will literally send you a push notification on your phone so you can be on top of that. But I think what you said is important. Me and you, we do this crypto stuff basically full time. So we live and breathe this. This is a job to us, and even with it being a job to us, it's still not easy to stay on top of 80 to 100 positions. So if you are just a normal person who doesn't live and breathe this stuff every single day, it's just your in your spare time, your hobby, you work all day and you have family and all this stuff, and you have a little bit of time you set aside each day or every other day or once a week to look at this stuff, you probably shouldn't have 80 plus positions. I know it's like, there's this real fear that you're going to miss out on some of these things. There's always a FOMO element. But that's going to be, even if you have 1,000 positions, you're still going to miss some of these giant movers. It's just inevitable. So I think there's a lot of wisdom in what you said, in that you should consider like consolidating a little bit and focusing, because that does two things. One, it makes it so you can actually pay attention to this stuff and stay on top of it and not have to, miss half your positions pumping and not actually exercising those profits. But two, when you focus like that and you're consolidating, that means you're probably selling something and putting more into something else, which means now that something else you put more money into, it could really move. So you're not only like focusing down to make it easier for yourself, but you're giving yourself a higher profit chance in that position, because what's going to do better, you having 1,000 in something or 10,000 in something? Well, that 10,000, if that thing does a 100x, congratulations, you just made life-changing wealth. So that's like a big consideration. But I think when it comes to like the actual profit taking, whether you do a spreadsheet like me, or you're going to do 50% and then 50% again like you, which is more like a dollar cost averaging thing, there's really no wrong answer there. It's just whichever makes sense to you. And you can like totally dumb it down and just go, we're in an alt season right now, everything's pumping, I don't have any specific price targets, I'm just going to sell X percentage of my position every single day or every single week for the next 2 months, and then I just exit whatever the prices are, you dollar cost average out of it, And if everything's going up and up and up, well, then you do really well. There's a million different ways you can slice this, but like at the very end of it all, like just make sure you take profits and that you don't perpetually roll those profits over into new cryptos only. Like if you don't do that for a time during the season, great. But some of those profits have to work their way back into your own pocket. Otherwise, you're going to get totally burned by the end of the cycle and you're going to be bitter for the entire bear market. And a lot of people just give up.
Yeah, something you said there is really important, and I need to remember that too. Is like always be looking to take profits. So the
Yes.
reason I say that is because, man, we don't know how early we are in this bull run. We don't know if we're at the peak. We don't know if like it's going to be very quick. It's not going to last like the last one did. We really don't know. I think there's a lot of really good things coming for crypto that would keep this going and keep crypto snowballing just based off the next election and the way things are looking based off that current administration. But I don't want to be where you said, where I look back and I go, oh my gosh, I'm so bitter because I didn't take those profits and all of those. And it is also like, hey, I have a lot of, let's call it what it is, a lot of shit coins in my crypto wallet right now where I'm like, man, just like you said, I really need to consolidate some of those. And everybody's like, oh, well, if you're in like 100 and then, a few 10x, I get it. But you can only live in the moment. So it's like, okay, make that decision with what you have right now and roll it up, which I think is good. So, on that note, I need to start to spend a day doing homework and start to set some of these push alerts, even just push alerts to be like a hey, heads up and hey, sell. Like that should really be something that I should be doing with my positions. Might take me a while, but I should do it. But now let's flip to the elephant in the room, and that's Bitcoin. Because at the end of the day, I think all of us are eventually taking those funds and consolidating up to Bitcoin. Um, so that being said, for you, what does that look like as a sell opportunity?
So, if you want to, if you've been buying Bitcoin and you think 100,000 is it, or, if we hit like 120 or something, if that's it and you want to like sell your Bitcoin,
Mm-hmm.
more power to you. You are in charge of your own destiny. You do what's best for you. Me personally, I'm not interested in that. My Bitcoin is my Bitcoin. I'm not looking to sell that at cycle peak and then try to rebuy it because I have no idea what cycle peak is going to be. I have no idea what the bear market low is going to be. If we go up to 120 and then we come all the way back down to 30, well, then that could have been a good trade. But what if we don't? What if we go to 250? What if we go to 300? And what if our bear market low is $110,000? Like, one, that would be insane, but possible. But two, if you sell at 120 and you hope to buy back at 30, but it only goes as low as 110 ever again, oops, you just messed up. And hopefully, you bought back and at least you didn't lose too much, but maybe you did lose a lot. So I keep my Bitcoin. That's for the long term. Take profits in all my alts. And then what I want to do is, as I'm taking profits in my alts, I want to put money into my pocket, meaning my bank account, which I can put into traditional investments. I can go towards a house, other investments. I can enjoy some lifestyle upgrades. But also a portion of that, aside from the taxes portion, is just going to go into stables. And that's just going to sit there because I want to wait 1, 2 years, 2.5 years for the bear market to figure out what those lows are. And then I want to deploy that into Bitcoin at those lows, or at least start dollar cost averaging when I think it's getting close-ish to the bottom. So I do want to take profits into Bitcoin, but I am someone who wants to delay that. I don't want to be buying it in the bull run. But hey, if you do that during the bull run, well, you're still going to get Bitcoin. So it's a win either way.
Yeah, no, that's definitely smart. I really like a lot of things you said there. You're setting yourself up. It's not just roll everything to Bitcoin. It's like, oh, I'm going to do something to stable so that you have
Yes.
something for when it drops down low, which I think is a fantastic avenue. We hear a lot of people that hit a bear market and they're like, I don't have any money to buy anything.
Yeah.
Well, you had a full bull run to be able to even just put aside 10% of your profits into something like USDT is what I usually do. Sit it there. And I mean, that's always, you and I talked about this a while back where it was like, let's talk about your top like 7 portfolio positions. And one of them was USDT. And you were like, well, why would you do this? And it's like, well, when Bitcoin drops low, I buy. When mining hardware is all readily available and I want to get in first, it's right there. And, if a coin pops and I want to get in, right around then, I have that opportunity. So I do like that avenue that you're speaking to, because that's something that's right up my alley. I think it is definitely something we need to, or even I need to, and even my audience needs to, is just be more active with that. Think a year down the road, which we so commonly think so short term. And I think that's something that we need to be a little bit more keeping that in mind moving forward, which I think is awesome. Before we go ahead and head out here, any other tips or wisdom for people when it comes down to when to sell that you want to dig into a little bit more today?
I just want to reiterate, you have to have a plan. It doesn't have to be perfectly outlined in a spreadsheet like what I'm talking about, but you have to have something, because I promise you 99.9% of you listening, if your approach is to fly by the seat of your pants, just to live in the moment and just kind of do what you feel is right, the vast majority of people who go by that strategy are going to lose. They're going to just get their ass handed to them. This cycle is not going to be kind to them. You're going to get caught up in all kinds of stuff because emotions are raw, emotions are heightened. If you don't have anywhere for the money to flow to, any plan for where the money's going to go when you do take it out, like, it's just all going to come back around, and it's going to just make your day miserable. And you're going to be one of those people in the bear market in the next bear market, who doesn't have any of that capital and just, I wish I had taken profits here or there. So have a plan, and don't be ashamed to take profits, because nobody ever, became poor by taking profits. Now, you might miss the greatest of the greatest gains if you take profits too early, but at least you took profits. Most people look back, they don't go, oh, I should have kept holding. They go, I should have sold something at any point. Like, just taking some profit, because most people hold and they get greedy, and they just never execute on those sells. And then they watch it drop and down. They're like, it's going to go back up, and it just never recovers. And they just bag hold all through a bear market, and they watch their 6 figures turn into barely 4 figures, and regretting the whole thing. So if that scares you, if you don't want to live in the world of regret, have a plan, take profits, be smart.
I love it. I love it. Absolutely. I totally agree. I very much, my first year in mining, had a very much hold mentality. I was like, I'm holding everything, which is really funny, because now as time goes on, it's like, I love what you said there. Don't be afraid to take profits, because I think that's very, very important there. And I think we need to do more of that as miners, because I think we become loyalists to these projects sometimes. And at the end of the day, we're in it for the profit. So I think we need to set those targets, just like you said, and make a plan. Well, guys, thank you guys very much for joining me today. Thank you, Andy, for jumping on. And guys, would love to hear your comments down below. What is your strategy on when to sell? Sorry to interrupt your video, but check this out. I constantly get emails from the community asking me about trustworthy hosting facilities in the United States that I recommend. Well, I got you covered. Listen up. A few months back, I visited Block Ops Mining's brand new facility in Central Arkansas. The team there was super professional, knowledgeable, and everyday miners like you and I. After visiting the facility, I sent them a few of my ASIC miners for hosting, and have been super happy with their service and communication. Go contact Block Ops Mining directly down below in the video description, and tell them the Hobbyist Miner sent you for great pricing on miners and hosting.